Ever wondered what the Catholic Church really thinks about other religions? Is it all my way or the highway? Or is there more to the story? Let us dive into one of the most game-changing documents in modern church history and clear up some common myths. You might be surprised by what we find. Before the 1960s, the general attitude was often quite exclusive. The prevailing thought was summed up in the phrase, extra ecclesiam nulla salus, which means outside the church, there is no salvation. Many people, both inside and outside the church, took this to mean that if you weren't a card-carrying baptized Catholic, you were out of luck. This created a lot of tension and a fortress-like mentality. But then came the Second Vatican Council, a massive gathering of bishops from around the world to discuss the church as role in the modern era. And out of this council came a revolutionary declaration called Nostra Aetate. Nostra Aetate, which is Latin for in our time, completely shifted the conversation. It was published in 1965, and it's a relatively short document, but its impact has been enormous. It starts by saying that the Catholic Church rejects nothing that is true and holy in other religions. Think about that for a second. It acknowledges that these religions often reflect a ray of that truth which enlightens all men. This was a huge step. Instead of just focusing on differences, the Church started to officially recognize the shared spiritual quest of humanity. So, let's break down what Nostra Aetate says about specific faiths. It speaks with great respect about Hinduism, acknowledging its deep philosophical inquiries and its search for divine mystery. It mentions Buddhism, recognizing its core teachings about the radical insufficiency of this changing world and the path to supreme illumination. The document dedicates a significant portion to Islam. It urges Catholics and Muslims to forget the conflicts of the past and to work together for social justice, moral welfare, peace, and freedom. It highlights what we have in common. We both adore the one God, the creator of heaven and earth, who has spoken to humanity. We both revere Jesus as a prophet, though not as God, and we honor his Virgin Mother, Mary. We both value a moral life and worship God through prayer, almsgiving, and fasting. This was a call for mutual understanding and collaboration, not conflict. And then there's the relationship with Judaism, which gets the most detailed treatment. Nostra Aetate made it crystal clear that the Church's roots are deeply embedded in Judaism. It powerfully condemns the old, terrible idea that Jewish people as a whole were or are responsible for Jesus' death. It states that what happened in his passion cannot be charged against all the Jews then living, nor against the Jews of today. This was a monumental rejection of the anti-Semitic teachings that had plagued parts of Christian history for centuries. The document stresses the shared spiritual patrimony and calls for fraternal dialogue and friendship. It firmly condemns all hatred, persecutions, and displays of anti-Semitism directed against Jews at any time and by anyone. So, does this newfound respect mean the Church believes all religions are the same, or that it doesn't matter what you believe? Not at all. And this is a key point that often gets misunderstood. The Church still holds that the fullness of truth and the definitive means of salvation are found in Jesus Christ, and through the Catholic Church he established. The mission to evangelize, to share the good news of Jesus remains central. But here's the crucial nuance. The Church also teaches that people who, through no fault of their own, do not know Christ or his Church can still achieve eternal salvation. This is a concept known as invincible ignorance. If a person sincerely seeks God and moved by grace, tries in their actions to do his will as they know it through the dictates of their conscience, they too can be saved. God is just and merciful, and he doesn't condemn people for not knowing something they had no reasonable opportunity to know. How does this work? The Church believes that the grace of Christ is at work in the world in ways we can't fully comprehend. The rays of truth found in other religions are seen as a preparation for the gospel. They are sparks of the divine light that can lead people toward the one true God, even if they don't know the full story of Jesus. God's saving grace isn't confined by the visible boundaries of the Church. So you have this beautiful and frankly challenging tension. On one hand, the Church has a deep respect for the truths and values found in other religions. It calls for dialogue, collaboration, and mutual understanding. We are called to see the face of God in our neighbors, regardless of their creed. On the other hand, the Church maintains its conviction that Jesus Christ is the universal Savior, and that his Church is the ordinary means of salvation. This isn't a contradiction. It's a paradox of faith. It's about holding two ideas in balance. First, the uniqueness and necessity of Christ for salvation. Second, God's universal love and salvific will for all humanity. The Church's mission is to proclaim Christ, but it does so with a profound respect for each person's conscience and their own spiritual journey. It's not about forcing belief, but about proposing the truth in love. Think of it like this. If you believe you have the cure for a disease, you have a moral obligation to share it with everyone. But you do it with respect and compassion, not by belittling other remedies they might be trying. You present what you have with confidence and love, and you respect their freedom to accept it or not. This teaching has radically transformed interreligious relations over the last 60 years. We've seen popes visiting synagogues and mosques, joint prayers for peace, and collaborative efforts to help the poor and marginalized across religious lines. Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis have all made interreligious dialogue a cornerstone of their pontificates, building on the foundation laid by Nostra Aetate. So, to sum it all up, does the Catholic Church believe it has the fullness of truth? Yes. Does it believe everyone else is automatically condemned? Absolutely not. The Church teaches that salvation is possible for non-Catholics and even non-Christians, and it calls for a relationship with other faiths based on respect, dialogue, and a shared search for what is true, good, and holy. It's a message that replaces walls with bridges and fear with friendship. It acknowledges the complexity of the human heart as search for God and trusts in the infinite mercy of a God who is bigger than our theological boxes. It's a far cry from the exclusive stereotype many people hold. It's a theology of hope, humility, and profound respect for the spiritual journey of every single person. Thanks for watching, And if you found this helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into what the Church really teaches. See you next time.